How you doing? It's Tuesday. It's 7:30. So that can only be one thing. It's the new Tuesday Club show. Again, there's lots to talk about when it comes to Arsenal, so it's going to be a good show. I've got some guests joining me. We're one down tonight, actually, and Dorsey can't make it, unfortunately. He's busy, he's got other stuff going on, but we've got our usual panel in as well. So it's going to be really good, and it's coming up the other side of this. Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. Welcome to Over and Over and Over Again. We're back. We're live, and I say this is the Tuesday Club. I say we are a man down tonight, but it's fine. We will get through the show. I'm sure it's going to be good. Obviously, lots to talk about. As I said, we're going to be obviously looking at the Chelsea game from the weekend and a few other issues that came up on the back of that game, injuries and new contracts for certain players that maybe people were thinking were leaving. So lots going on. A few potential signings as well, and we'll also look at Ben White's debut for the club, of course, which was on Sunday. We'll also have a brief look back on the women's game as well. Plus, from the archives tonight, it's going to be 1987-88 season, which was an interesting season. If you was around to remember that, we'll go through bits and bobs from that season as well. So loads coming up. Obviously, I'm not just going to do it on my own. I've got some great guests. The panel are with me. So first of all, of course, welcome back to the channel. It is, of course, Melvin. How you doing, Melvin? Looking nice and tan tonight as well, I have to say.
Good evening, Richard.
Yeah.
Well, makeup does a lot, doesn't it, eh? No, well, good evening. Looking forward to tonight. Get stuck in.
Yeah, exactly. Get stuck in. Loads to get stuck into. And also as well, again, coming back again, it is, of course, Adam as well. How you doing, Adam? You all right?
Evening, gents. Yeah, not bad here. Good to see you both again.
Yeah, and yourself. Good to see you. So we have got lots of things to talk about, lots of stuff to get through. So that is this is the panel for tonight. I say we are one down, but that can't be helped. I'm sure Doors will be back very soon. So this is a panel, and this is the Tuesday Club. Unfortunately, it wasn't 1-0 to the Arsenal on Sunday, which would have been nice, I suppose. So I suppose the only place we can really start is, I suppose, the game. So our penultimate pre-season friendly before the big kickoff, which is only 10 days away, actually. It's come around quite quick, isn't it? 10 days we've got, but obviously European champions Chelsea, they obviously had a few players missing. We had a few players missing. I'm sure everybody's kind of seen the game. What was your thoughts on the sort of lineup, Melvin, the starting lineup? Obviously the three new signings were all on the bench.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. It was a bit of deja vu for our team, wasn't it? It was like it could have been like a year ago. It could have been 18 months ago. It's like nothing had changed. No one had been away. Even the grass looked the same. You know, it had been cut the same way. So I was a bit surprised. I thought it was a good idea. I thought we might have chopped and changed it a bit earlier or put other players on straight away. But it wasn't to be. We had what I call the usual suspects playing. We know they are. You called them out a few times before. So I was a bit disappointed. I really always look forward to watching the Arsenal. You've got to be. You always look forward. As the game wore on, you felt those pangs coming back, pangs of hurt. And what didn't help, I suppose, was they were a far better team, Chelsea. I mean, they looked like they're not pre-season at all. They looked like they'd actually been playing throughout the summer league games, you know, high. And they haven't, obviously, but that's what they looked like. They looked really in top shape, and they knew what they were doing. They had a shape about themselves as well, the way they played. So we were up against them. They're a very good team, Chelsea. I mean, let's be fair. They are probably one of the favourites now to win the league. I mean, it used to be Man City, Liverpool. I think they're in with it now. they are now in with the other two to win the Premiership, most certainly. I think if the other two don't pull their socks up, they will win it. Chelsea, they've got it all going for them. I reckon this manager has done marvelous stuff for them. He's got the players playing. They understand what's going on. So yes, that's the excuses out of the way, but we still had players playing for us that we know are wearing the wrong shirt. They shouldn't have ever put it on again. They should have taken their numbers away, or just told them, sorry, we ain't got a shirt that fits you. They shouldn't be allowed, some of them, to wear that shirt again, because it just brings you down. And my problem was that we've got some exciting youngsters. We've got a couple of new signings that in a year or two might be good enough to play every week in the first team. Not sure at the moment. Haven't seen enough of them. We've got a new centre half that's evidently, I've not seen a lot of him, but evidently is all, all guns blazing. And if we play some of the usual suspects with these guys going forward, there's a possibility that these young guys and the new signings will be pulled down to the level of the bad players. And that's what we mustn't do. If we don't get rid of the rubbish, and it's such a horrible word to say, the underperformers, let's put it that way, don't get rid of them, please don't play them. That's what I got out of Sunday's game.
No, that's fine. We've had a couple of comments in. Shane there says, "Hi, let's come on, you Goonies." Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Shane. Always good to see you in the chat. And Ryan as well. So, all right, lads, how you all doing? And Ryan there says, "Give us the names, Melvin." He says, "Give us the names." Yeah, there's a whole long list of them. Melvin's just looks like his signal's just gone down for 2 seconds. I mean, Adam, what did you make of the team lineup? Was you expecting maybe the new signings to have maybe started, or at least one or two of them?
I would have definitely liked to have seen them. Definitely, it surprised me that at least. I didn't expect Ben White to start. Let's put it out there. He only really signed on Friday, but I was surprised that Lokonga didn't start. Definitely, and potentially even Tavares as well. But again, when I did see the team sheet, it didn't surprise me either. Like, to see that team sheet was just like, well, it is what it is, But similar to like what Melvin says, what I don't get is that there's at least a handful of players in that team on Sunday who must know that they're being tried to be sold on, and if you're playing and you know that the club's trying to sell you, you've got no motivation really to be in that team or to turn up regardless. I mean, that's the only thing that kind of gets me. And you can see that in the performance, Chelsea were, I thought, very slick, very, very slick team, very, fast on the ball, very quick passing move, whereas we were very lethargic for long periods of that game. In short bursts, we looked good. We had a couple of breaks down the left. Mainly it was due to Tierney again, getting down on the left. He looked pretty sharp as always. But that was really it. Smith-Rowe, tried his best as well. But we were very, very lackluster, I thought, especially back in front of your home fans as such, against the London rival, against the Premier League rival. I would have expected them to turn up a bit more. But no, in regards to the lineup, I was surprised that at least one didn't start. But at the same time, it didn't shock me that was the lineup that they put out, because who else is there going to be? It's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem, isn't it? I mean, we're 10 days away from the start of the new Premier League season. We still look, in terms of the squad, very short. And, with that starting lineup, that was basically last season's team, wasn't it, that started the game? Because all the three new signings were on the bench. And you could kind of see that if things aren't changed in the squad, if new names aren't coming, if some players aren't moved on, then what reason have we got to feel that this season is going to be any different to last season? I can't see too much to get overly excited about at the moment. I know there's still time in the transfer window, but what concerns me is the 10 days until the first game. Now, I know the transfer window is still open for 2 weeks or so after that, and we've gone through this in years past when we sign players on deadline day and we've already played 2 or 3 games, drop points, and you can't recover. So I would like to see us get the deals done as quickly as possible this week so that we can at least have the new players in the squad for the Brentford game, even if they're not maybe ready to start, depending on what level of fitness they're at, rather than waiting until the transfer deadline day when we've already played 3 or 4 games. Because the season then could be, looking at the fixtures that we've got after Brentford, it's not going to be easy anyway, is it? So it kind of concerns me a little bit that the the lack of depth at the moment and lack of quality in the squad, that's not improved much on last season, which then, of course, leads us on to the biggest negative of the day was probably the injury of Thomas Partey, because he was actually looking quite lively, wasn't he? And he's our main hope for this season in midfield, isn't he? Because that's the area that we needed to be better this season. And he looked as though he was maybe ready in that game. And then, of course, then he goes and gets himself injured. And hopefully it's not as bad as it looks, but he's unlikely to feature for the first couple of league games, possibly. I mean, what do you think we need to do now then, Melvin? Obviously, Lokonga came on later in the game and looked good. Is he ready maybe to make that step up and perhaps step in for Thomas Partey straight away? Or do you feel he's not maybe ready for the Premier League yet? Oh, Melvin, you just disappeared and come back again.
Yeah, I'm back.
Did you catch that, Melvin?
Yeah, I did. What I think will need to be done. Well, before talking about that, Richard, I was quite surprised when he got injured. If I was sitting on the bench, my name was Maitland-Niles, I'm thinking I've got no chance in this team. We're getting overrun in midfield. We need someone to stop the flow, if you like. Our best midfield has just gone off. And I don't get a sniff. He's not going to play me at right back or left back. So what am I doing here? I'm not saying he's the greatest midfielder in the world, but his style, his holding up the play would have helped us on Sunday because they were just walking through us at certain times, Chelsea. And he's got a bit of energy about him as well, Maitland-Niles. So I was very surprised about that. What we're going to do, I mean, I don't know, because did we have a plan A? Have we got a plan B? I don't even know now, Richard, honestly. You get to a point you think, well, do they know what they're doing? I'm sure they do, but you have that doubt in your mind because, as you say, 10 days to go before we kick off, and we haven't got a midfield. Even if we had Partey playing, the midfield is still not good enough. So, Edu wears some lovely suits, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather he wears a shocking suit and does some work before the window so he can actually put pen to paper during the window, because he must know where we need it. He must know. He must see it. And if he can't see it, if he has to wait till the end of if he's waiting to the end, I know it's not, people say it's not that easy. Other teams manage to do it, actually. But if he's waiting until the last second to sign someone and get him for a couple of million cheaper, then what hope we've got? What hope have we really got?
And that is what is really concerning me at the moment. And yes, it does seem to be the Arsenal way of doing things. We tend to get most of our deals done at the last minute. There was one year when we bought about 7 players on deadline day, wasn't there? Because we were, we panicked into that. So, I'm sure it's not going to be quite that dramatic this year. But I don't know why we can't get these deals done early. I mean, there's talk of Maddison, there's talk of a few other people, which we'll come on to a bit later. I mean, Adam, do you think Lokonga is ready to step in straight away for the first Premier League games? Maybe if he has to play 2 or 3 games because Partey's injured, do you think he's ready? Or would that maybe be a risk throwing him straight in? We don't have a lot of choice, really, though, do we, at the moment, I suppose?
Well, we don't have a lot of choice. And yes, it is a risk, but I would like to see him, put a bit of faith in him. We've signed him. He weren't cheap for a 21-year-old. It still cost upwards of 20 million. It's not like a cheap deal by any stretch. So, from the little I've seen of him, he does look like he's got something about him. But of course, it's going to be a risk putting him straight in Premier League, especially with the first games that we've got. If he goes in against City and Chelsea, it could make or break him. It could give him a massive boost of confidence and push forward. But if he gets absolutely overrun, that could really set him back. So, of course, it's a risk. But would you ask me, would I rather put someone like El Neni or Torreira in there against him? Probably not. I don't mind El Neni. He does a job. He's a squad player. And I like Torreira. I'd like to see him probably get another chance. But again, he's not had a lot of football lately. So, and he's not even been involved in pre-season. So you've got no other options, really. But I kind of agree with what Melvin just said with Maitland-Niles. We know that Maitland-Niles wants to play centre midfield. So surely that would have been an ideal time for him to show what he could do. The only thing I could possibly think of is the fact that there's a deal lined up for him to move on. But they didn't want to risk him getting stuck in and getting injured and then losing that. I don't know. That's the only thing I could kind of see of that, because for me, when Partey was injured, it was crying out for him, Maitland-Niles. This is where he wants to play. It's a friendly game. Give him a chance. And if it doesn't work, what have you got to lose? The game doesn't really matter in regards to a results pack. So I was really, I was shocked about that as well, because I thought it was a surprise. But I agree with what you said about Partey. He was looking much better, because I didn't really think Partey set anything alike last year. But I did also think that after a full pre-season with us, he did definitely look better against Chelsea. But so, you still got to get the partner for him. And like you said, I think we need to get someone in soon to build that partnership up. The partnerships in central midfield don't happen overnight. They take a series of games and training to get used to how you play. Like, we all know Vieira Petit. That didn't happen overnight. But when it did, look at it. It was incredible. But they need time. So the risk is that we could wait until the deadline day. We would have played 3 or 4 games by then and we could only have a couple of points. And then all of a sudden, it's just like the team's morale is down and you're back to square one again. So, it's not ideal. But again, his injury doesn't look as bad as it could have been. They're saying maybe he might miss the first game, or definitely the first game, maybe the second one. But he does pick up these injuries, though, as well, doesn't he, Partey? He does pick up these little niggling injuries.
Well, he has done since he joined us. Apparently, his injury record before was quite good. We've got a couple of comments in. Charles Ed there says hi, and also as well, we need to sign a big name CM to play next to Partey. Yeah, we do. Basuma was the favourite that I would have liked, certainly at the end of last season. I thought Basuma would have been the answer. We've got Lokonga instead. I can't see us buying Basuma or somebody as well. I think Lokonga is our midfield signing, or our main midfield signing. Unfortunately, I think that's all we're going to do. And it does leave us, as we've said, I think quite low on quality in that area, and 1 or 2 injuries, and we are going to be really struggling. And that's the most important area of the pitch as well, isn't it? So it's a worry. As soon as Thomas Partey went down, I was like, why does it always happen to us? And it seems to be, we seem to be cursed in a lot of ways, don't we? But let's hope, as Adam says, let's hope you're right and that it isn't as bad as it maybe looked, and he's not going to miss too many games. If it is the first 1 or 2, we can maybe scrape by perhaps, and hope it's not a long term, because obviously if he's out for 3 or 4 months, then that would be a major problem, and it would be something that the club would have to address in the next couple of weeks if that was going to be the case. So let's hope it isn't, and we can at least get by those couple of games. I wouldn't have a problem with Lokonga playing, actually. Like you said, Adam, we've bought him. Why not use him? That's what he's there for. We paid some money for him. We're paying him a decent wage, I'm sure. So stick him in. If he has to play, he has to play, and he'll either sink or swim, won't he? And what better way to learn than to go straight in and see if he can do what Vieira did, hit the ground running in his first game. Who knows? He's certainly got something about him. Let's just see if he could carry it out on the big stage. Ryan says question, has Arteta actually learned from last season? Because from what I see, I don't think he has. It's like an arrogance has taken over Mikel, and he wants to dig his heels in, and he's hoping it will pay off. Certainly from what I've seen in pre-season, he doesn't seem to have learned a lot. We're still trying to play it out from the back when we haven't got the players to carry it out, and we're not improving the areas that need to be improved. So I don't see it at the moment. It is still pre-season, though. Let's remember that, But I was hoping in this pre-season to see something a little bit different, and thinking maybe the penny had dropped with Arteta. But at the moment, I'm not seeing it. I quite agree with you there, Ryan. I don't think we are seeing that yet. But let's hope that in the next 2 weeks before we actually start, it might change. I did want to briefly talk about this. I don't want to spend too long on it because we've spent enough time on this guy, and I know we've all got our opinions on it. But I do think it's definitely worth having a quick discussion about. I'm hearing that Xhaka has signed a new extension. Is it an extra 2 years on top of the 2 years that he already had on a improved kind of contract? I personally feel that if that's true and we have re-signed him on a new contract, that we're not going to buy anybody else in midfield, that our midfield is now what we've got as it stands, with Xhaka, with Partey, with El Neni, and with Lokonga. And I think that's what we're going to go into the season with, because what I'm hoping is, and I did see someone else had put this on Twitter actually earlier, and I kind of agree with it, maybe without spending all that money on a new signing to replace Xhaka, we're going to spend that money elsewhere. Now, whether that's a goalkeeper, whether it's a right back, whether it's a striker or a number 10, maybe that's what the plan is. I don't know. I'm not confident it is. I say I've got no problem with Xhaka. I think he's the only leader that we've got in the squad, and I'm quite happy that we're keeping him, but not if it's at the expense of buying improvements, which is what we needed to do. I mean, what are your kind of brief thoughts on that, Adam, about Xhaka's contract extension, if that's what indeed is happening?
Similar to you, I've never really had major problems with Xhaka, apart from the whole throwing down the armband, having that little spat when he was captain. I didn't agree with that, and obviously the forced apology, but that's done and dusted. But on the field, I've always thought he's done all right, and I do think that last season he was our best midfielder, and he was definitely the most consistent. And there were some games when he bossed that midfield. He can be inconsistent. We know he's got, he's got a volatile streak in him as well. But I do, like you said, we don't have a lot of leaders, and he is a leader. Whether people like to admit it or not, he is a leader. You can see that the way he talks to people and the way that he organises people around him, and you can never have too many of those in my eyes. I'd still like to see us bring in another midfielder. I agree with you, Dave. They are shelling out an improved contract. Where's that money going to come from? But if we do shift on, maybe a Torreira, and a Maitland-Niles, we still do need someone. So maybe there still is, and maybe, they put Xhaka on an improved contract, but we'll say that he's going to be in a rotation rather than first choice. Who knows? But I've got no real problem with Xhaka. I always think he does try his best. He's got a mistake in him, obviously, and the mistakes that he generally does do tend to be very high profile. I mean, I'm thinking like the Burnley game last year was ridiculous. He just loses concentration. He's not the flair player that a lot of people would like, but he does a job. And if you look at the way he plays, he's got very good positional sense. He can pick a pass. We know he can shoot. I'd like to probably see him shoot a bit more often. But if you get if he gets the right partner, he could still be a really valuable player for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I suppose a lot of people mention the fact he's 29, he's on a 4-year deal, which is taking him well into his 30s. What's his sell-on value going to be? We'd probably be able to get more for him now if we were going to sell him at some stage. And obviously, we couldn't get the 20 million or whatever we were looking for from Roma. So I don't know, maybe that's the reason. Or if what Arteta says right, he actually really trusts Xhaka, and he seems to want him around. So maybe that's Arteta's choice as well. I don't know. I mean, I know you're not his biggest fan, Melvin. Obviously, we know you've made that clear before on the show, which is fine. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And in terms of offering him a contract, do you think that means we're not buying another midfield player now?
Well, first of all, about yourself, the two of you and lots of other people that are Arsenal supporters, I do respect what you say about anybody, your thoughts on football. And I just can't get it in my head how we can be so different on certain things. Xhaka seems to be bigger to me than Brexit. You know what I mean? I just can't get in my head. I mean, I do respect you big time, as the pair of you, right? And other people. I've got a lot of other friends that do like him a lot. And I'm sitting there thinking, what am I missing? What am I missing? It might be a gut feeling. It might be my brain, my eyes, something wrong with it. Because I know when I sit there, watch him, my fists are going like this. I'm expecting him to do something bad. And sometimes he doesn't disappoint. You mentioned the Burnley game. I don't know which one you're talking about, Adam. Was it the home game where he got sent off stupidly? Or was it the one where he did that stupid back pass? And the goalie's got to take responsibility.
The side pass,
right, so that's a double header, that one. There's other things as well, which I won't go into. To me, I don't like footballers that you think there's an accident waiting to happen. Perhaps I've got a short memory, but all the teams going from when I started watching up to the 90s, whatever you're talking about, the George Graham teams, I don't recall sitting there thinking, my God, the ball's gone to him. We might have a problem here. Ever in all my time. And I've seen some poor players play for the Arsenal, right? But
oh, Melvin's gone. Just as we were getting in, it was getting interesting. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. He just keeps. He's got a little bit of internet issues again this week, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, obviously we know that you're not. No, carry on, Melvin. You're back now. Carry on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying I've seen some poor players playing for the Arsenal over the years. Perhaps poorer than Xhaka, in my opinion, poorer than him. But they haven't been with a team for 4 years. They haven't played as many games. They've played half a dozen games. The light's gone in the manager's head. Hold on a minute. Perhaps this geezer ain't as good as we thought he was. And they're out. The problem with me is it blind? No, I watch. I think I understand what I'm watching. I'm not the best judge in the world, but I understand what I'm watching. And I can't get it. Sometimes he does lovely through balls. He did one on Sunday. Fabulous ball down the left. Absolutely fabulous, right? You know, you couldn't knock it. He's scored a couple of terrific goals. He's done so many good things, but it doesn't outweigh in my the amount of times he gives the ball away, puts us under pressure, 50 hospital balls. And really, I mean, and stopped us getting into Europe one year. Yeah, let's face it, the Brighton game. It was like amateurish. You waited till the guy got into the box to pull him down. Why wait? Take him outside the box. But I don't. And if you're saying to me that we're keeping him so we can save money to buy another player, my question to you is, why we spent £50 million on a centre half? I don't think we necessarily need. I'm not saying White's a bad signing. I'm not saying he's bad at all. But for that 50 million, I want something cast iron that's got to make our defence something unbelievable. And he might be a very good player. But 50 million, when you ain't got a right back yet, you ain't got another midfield player yet, and as perhaps a forward up front we're looking for. So this 12 million or 20 million you might have gone from Xhaka, I'm sorry, that doesn't fill the gap. So it's just, it doesn't balance, the thinking doesn't balance out, in my opinion. You're saving a few quid, not so. They get 12 million for Xhaka, right? Which is perhaps might be the wrong price, right? They might get 12. So they're going to hopefully hold out for 20 or keep him. That's not the way you do business. You either want to sell him at a price or you don't. And if you don't, you look for another club trying to do a deal and think to yourself, what are we actually going to really get here? The market's telling us that no one. He had a fantastic European Championship. Don't get me wrong, he was fantastic. Yeah. He last season he was better. I won't say he was great. He was better because also a few of those mistakes came as well. And no one else wants to give more than 12 million. Is that not painting a picture? Seriously, is that not painting a picture? What people
I must admit, I can't believe that. I mean, Charlotte in the chat said every manager likes Xhaka, and they do. You know, he's been a regular under all the Arsenal managers. He's a regular he's a captain for Switzerland, and they're not a bad side. They've got some good players. So there's something in there, obviously, that managers are seeing that obviously you're not seeing, Melvin, very often, and maybe me and Adam are seeing it slightly more than you are. But I mean, I don't think any of us think that Xhaka is, you know, this top quality midfield player that we've been desperate for, and that's not his fault. He's as good as he is, and I thought last season he was decent. He had, as you said, he had a great European Championships for Switzerland. In fact, the game he missed at the end was a game that he got knocked out, and had he played, they may well have gone through that game. We'll never know, but he was having a real big influence on that tournament for them. So there is a player there, and I quite like his attitude on the pitch. He seems to like playing for Arsenal. He seems to give 100%, and whether that's always good enough, yes, the mistakes are there as well. But it does just worry me that offering him this contract tends to suggest to me we're not going to strengthen. And as Shane has quite rightly put in the chat there, Xhaka like a rebuild with the same material. Exactly, yeah. Midfield should be the foundation to new building. It should be, yeah. And that was, to me, and I agree with what Melvin said, if we was going to spend 50 million on a player, to me, the 50 million should have been spent on midfield first, when we had a fairly decent defensive record last year. Actually, I think it not third best in the league or something, wasn't it? Yeah. Defensive record last year. So, you know, a defender wasn't necessarily a priority. And for 50 million, we should have looked at a midfield player. And instead, we haven't done that as yet. Are we going to now? I'm starting to think perhaps we're not. Shane says there, a few weeks we heard this summer will be the biggest shake. Yeah, we did hear that, and it doesn't seem to be much of a shake-up at all at the moment. 3 players in, only one who you'd imagine straight into the first team, 2 squad players who might well be good. And that's all we've got at the moment, haven't we? We haven't really managed to get rid of anyone that we need to. Russ is in the chat as well. He said, "Evening, chaps." Yep, how you doing, Russ? Good to see you. He says, "I hope we are happy Xhaka is staying, first name on the team sheet." Well, me and Adam aren't too unhappy. Obviously, Melvin's not quite on the same hymn sheet as us on that one, but I mean, that's fine. As Melvin said, everyone's got different opinions.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go on.
Can I just say something? He's played under 4 managers, 3 Arsenal and the Swiss manager. They all love him, right? Where's the other 18, 19 Premiership managers then? Why don't they put their hands in their pocket? Where's all these European managers? They don't love him. They don't want to give more than 12 million for him. So something ain't right. I can't
understand it, honestly. That baffles me. It does. I thought that when there was the rumours of Roma wanting to buy him, I thought we'll get some decent money, and if he wants to go, he'll go, and it could help us rebuild the midfield. And the fact that they wouldn't even stump up, like you said, nowhere near our valuation, and no one else has come in for him, is a surprise, because he had a good Euros, and often players have a good tournament and it puts them in the spotlight. That's right. And that's when they get a big move. So I am really surprised by that, actually. We've got Alan in the chat. He's actually a Leeds fan, so he's seen quite a lot of Ben White. He says 50 million is a bit high even in today's market, but he's better than you've got. No, I agree with that. He probably is better than we've got. And in 3 years, you'll be able to say White's a steal, but you needed a midfielder more. Exactly, yeah, that's exactly right. Alan, I say he's seen a lot of Ben White because he was on loan, of course, at Leeds for a season, wasn't he? And had a good season there. And I agree. I think he is better than what we've got. I mean, just while we're waiting for Melvin to come back, Adam, what did you make of Ben White's debut then on Sunday? I know he only played the second half, but I thought he did okay, didn't he?
Yeah, me too. I don't think he put a foot wrong. He had that decent block when they had that chance in the second half as well. It was Abraham, wasn't he? And then in the way of that. He looks very composed on the ball. He doesn't seem like he's going to panic. And I think from a centre-back, that's what I want to see. I don't like to see my centre-backs panic, because the rest of the team, when you goalkeeper, must be like, But with him, I don't get the impression that he's going to be like that. He seems very kind of relaxed and, doesn't seem like anything's going to faze him. Obviously, it's only the first half we've seen him in an Arsenal shirt, but I did see him a few times for Brighton last year. Like, randomly, when I kept watching Brighton last year, when a friend of mine is a Brighton fan, and I was saying to him that Brighton should be a lot higher, I thought, for how they played and their results kind of give him credit for.
Yeah, I agree,
And whenever I saw him play, him and I think it was Webster and Dunk, the three of them played, they kind of interlinked, and they're really well organised, and they play very, very well. They like to play from the back. I think Dunk's more the enforcer there, when allows White and Webster to play it out a bit more. But I was always thinking he looked very good, and I don't ever remember him putting a foot wrong last year for Brighton. And again, I didn't see any of him when he played for Leeds, but everyone was saying how well he played, and Alan in the chat said it as well. So first impressions were very, very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. And I'm hoping that him and Gabriel can forge a decent partnership, which is what we need. And I'm hoping we can get a decent partnership that can then see us through then, for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, because they're both at the right age. They're both early 20s. They're both decent statures. They both come on decent money as well. Let's not kid around. But let's hope that they can make that partnership now. But yeah, first impressions very good.
Yeah, I mean, Alan says there again. He says it's all about bedding in. He's very calm and excellent at bringing the ball out from the back. And I think that's probably the key, because that is what Arteta wants us to do. He wants us to have defenders who can bring it out from the back. We've got Rob Holding, not very comfortable on the ball. Obviously, David Luiz was doing that. He was probably the main one for bringing it out from the back, wasn't he? Driving forward, putting those long balls over the top. And now he's gone. I guess White is the younger replacement for him. His role maybe in that defence. So obviously, hopefully, he's gonna not make as many mistakes and prove to be a good player. But I mean, what did you watch the game Sunday, Melvin? Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did watch it.
What? Oh, he's gone again. He keeps going and coming back. Russ has said that other teams are making embarrassing bids as they know Arsenal are desperate to get rid of players. Yeah, I guess that is true. But then, you could say the same about a lot of other clubs and a lot of other players, and they still seem to get decent money for them, don't they? It just seems to be us for some reason. I'm not quite sure why we can never seem to sell our players. Is it the contracts that they're on? I can't make out what it is, why we have trouble getting rid of players and we end up getting stuck with them. A lot of the ones that have gone, they've only gone because we've ripped up their contracts, not because somebody wanted to buy them. And there is definitely a problem there. But anyway, going back to Ben White then, Melvin, what did you make of his performance? Was you quite pleased with how he played? Because I thought he did pretty well.
I thought he did pretty well. As you say, he's calm, he's good on the ball. He likes bringing the ball forward. Defensively, I like what he did as well. But just to flip that on its side, not him, I was very disappointed with Mari. And I like Mari. Yeah. I thought his positional sense on Sunday was poor. He got dragged out of position. And once or twice, Chelsea broke. He was nowhere to be seen. It was like schoolboy defending. He's like, where's that two centre-halves got? You expect that with Holding, let's face it. I mean, Holding... he's always gets drawn out of position. But Mari, I thought, was the one that was a little bit laid back, sees the game, the wide pitch and everything. And he made a couple of rickets. I'm thinking, where's he? Tierney was chasing back. I think Mari was still in the opposing half. And that worries me. I think, Gabriel, and White has got to be our centre halves. We can't play chop and change every week because let's face it, Adam, they're not going to make a partnership, are they?
No,
if you do that, you've got to play injuries apart. You've got to play your best two centre halves together. And he's left-footed, Gabriel. Right's right-footed. So we had this discussion last time a couple of times about having two centre halves, right and left-footed. You know what I mean? And that will really work. I'm very happy about that. What I do want to see from White and Gabriel is them to be better in the air from corners and stuff like that, because that is a big part of being a centre half. It's all right bringing the ball out. It's all right smashing a centre forward when it comes from a goal kick. It's all right cutting out crosses, certainly when they're knee high or whatever on the ground and getting in the right position. But so many goals we give away from corners and free kicks, and that's not good enough. Especially.
Oh, he's gone again. We're going to have this problem for the rest of the night, probably, but it's fine. It's only a couple of seconds that he's dropped out for. But no, I mean, I feel that it is potentially a good partnership with Gabriel, but we haven't seen them play together yet, have we? So we're going to have to wait on that one and see how they do combine together. I mean, I think Gabriel's injured, isn't he? Is that right, Adam? He's injured, isn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. It's not for any major length of time, but yeah, I think he took a knock. But I haven't heard that he won't be available for Brentford. But well, fingers crossed anyway.
I mean, I think he needs to play maybe against Tottenham just to get a game. I don't think you can throw him straight in against Brentford when he's not played any pre-season games. I think that would be risky. I've got a feeling Mari might well play that game, actually, depending on how Gabriel does in the next week or so, or up before the Tottenham game, and we'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, it certainly looks like it could potentially be a good partnership, and not that was necessarily a massive weakness. I agree that Rob Holding is a liability quite often. Mari's maybe a bit hit and miss. Gabriel actually had a good start to last season, and then he had a few issues, didn't he? He struggled a little bit in the second half of the season, a little bit more. But
he got ill, didn't he, though? He got ill as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he got ill, and he got sent off in one game, didn't he? Then he got an injury, and he had a few issues in the second half. He wasn't quite as good, but hopefully with he's had a bit of a rest and what have you, and I know he went to the Olympics, didn't he, and got injured, and that's what's happened to him, I think. So, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I was impressed with Ben White. He looks as though he's a good, tidy player. He knows how to defend, and he's young. And it looks like we've got a defence that we can build for the future now, which I think is important. But last season, as we saw, Arteta mixed and matched his defence nearly every week. And this season, I want to see a little bit more consistency in the back four, at least play most of them every week if they're fit, and get some, as you said, Melvin, getting partnership and getting something developing. You're only going to do that if they're playing week in, week out in the league every week. And we don't need to rotate the squad without Europe either this season as much. So perfect opportunity. Stick them two in if they're fit, play them together in most of the games, and hopefully we'll get another Tony Adams and Steve Bold kind of relationship building up. Maybe something similar to that would be nice, wouldn't it? And if you've got a solid defence, you're halfway there, aren't you? But we'll see. Alan's in the chat there, says, a good point, Melvin. White's only downside is in the air, can lose his man at corners. Oh, well, that's nice, because we've struggled at that at the best of times anyway. But anyway, hopefully our new set piece coach will sort him out, because we did score from a corner, actually, didn't we? A direct goal from a corner, which is unusual for Arsenal. So maybe the set piece coach is getting his ideas across. That was nice to see, wasn't it, Adam? Getting a goal straight from a corner, a header from a corner. When was the last time we did that?
I was trying to think, actually. I'm sure
I think
David Luiz got a couple, maybe not last season, the season before.
Bournemouth, he scored one, didn't he?
That was a long time ago. That was a long time ago,
like 2 seasons ago. Yeah, but it was good to see. I love a set piece. Personally, I love a set piece that works well, with a free kick or a corner. It was good to see. It was refreshing.
No, it was. I was saying,
the one before that, I think, was John Radford. The one before that.
I don't know. I think Tony Adams might have scored a few in his time from corners. Alan Smith as well probably scored some as well, didn't he? I seem to remember.
True.
But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see that. And let's hope then that this might be a theme for the season, that we might score a few more goals from corners and free kicks, because it's something that we've been lacking. And if we can add another 10, 15 goals from free kicks and corners this season, then that's going to help us massively, isn't it? And that's one area that we've been weak on. So that's a positive side anyway. Bit unusual maybe Xhaka to score a header. I don't think I've seen him head the ball like that before. It was a good goal. and maybe that's why he got him a new contract, because he was impressed with his header. Maybe that might have been what it was.
No, what it was, he could hear Arteta saying, "Do you want to sign again?" And he went, "Yep." That's what happened.
Yeah, that was what it was. Yeah, it was perfect header, wasn't it? So yeah, maybe that's what it was. But no, it was good to see that actually, and maybe it's something that we'll see a bit more of this season. Let's hope so. And I'll say it's going to help us hopefully get better results. Also, as well, I wanted to just quickly look at this as well. Obviously, we do like to cover the Arsenal women on this channel as well, because I personally I've always enjoyed women's football, and the Arsenal women in particular. So I don't know whether you watched much of that game. Did you, Melvin, the Arsenal women's one, or did you not bother too much?
No, because I was doing things, where I am, and I was just doing things, and I just made it back in time for the game. But I do like watching the women's football. I think it's brilliant. It's improved so much over the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah. It's different, totally different games to what it used to be, and it's going to get better. I really do think that more people are going to watch it, and it's going to grow and grow. And good luck to them. I mean, some of the skills they show are terrific. They really are. The running off the ball. It's like chalk and cheese to a few years ago. I don't know what's happened. It's like a completely different game. It's like someone's taken off all the shackles and go, right, you can play football now, and they do, and it's brilliant. And it's really you should get more time, in my opinion, on the telly. And you should get more coverage.
No, I totally agree, and I think the Arsenal women in particular have done obviously the most successful women's team ever in history. So it just goes to show that it's always been a big part of Arsenal anyway, the Arsenal women, and it's good to see that they've still got a good team now. I mean, I know you watched a bit of that game, didn't you, Adam? What did you make of?
I caught most of the second half.
What did you make of the performance? I know we made a lot of changes in the second half, didn't we? A lot of the academy girls came on and did pretty well, actually.
Yeah, but for me, that was good. Like a lot of the names, they weren't familiar to me. I'm not going to pretend I'm a women's football expert, but I do try and watch the games where I can. And like you said, a lot of the ones who come in the second half were unknown to me, but it was good to see. And what I really liked was you could tell that they just wanted to get involved, all of them, and they all looked for the ball. That's no one shies away, and that was my biggest takeaway from the game. Is like when one person's got the ball, the movement off the ball, which we don't always see in the men's game nowadays. Like the men's game is very technical now, and it's all about zones and stuff. Whereas I think the women's football still got that, essence of pure football, let's say, because they just want to play football and they make space. And if you've got the ball, I mean, I played football, and you always want to see people running. The worst thing you can do when you've got the ball is see people stationary. And that was the biggest thing for me, was seeing people running off the ball, making space. And I find the football very attractive to watch. I think that they're very, very incisive, very direct, a lot of passing and moving. So I was quite impressed, actually. I enjoyed it. It was, I didn't get as involved as the men game. I was sitting back a bit more, but I enjoyed it because of that. Sitting back and just watching football because I love football. It was good.
Yeah, and I mean, over the last couple of years in particular, what I've really enjoyed about watching the women is the fact that there's no VAR. The players don't roll around pretending to be injured every 5 minutes. They're not looking to get other players booked and sent off. And it's a lot more pure football, I think. And I'm over the last couple of years, it's maybe brought that even more into focus as the men's games kind of deteriorated into this technical kind of overly coached kind of, I don't know, that's not really as enjoyable to watch. Whereas the women's game still has got all the good things that men's football used to have without all the bad things that men's football's got now. So it is kind of good to watch from that point of view. And obviously Arsenal have got a good team, a new manager this season, some new players. I know half of them wasn't around because they were still at the Olympics. Nikita Paris, for example, and the Japanese one, Iwabachi, over at the Olympics, and a couple of others, the Australians and stuff. So it wasn't the full strength Arsenal team by any means, but it wasn't a full strength Chelsea team either, let's not pretend. But we did manage to beat them, which is unusual. In the last couple of years, we haven't managed to beat them. So it was nice to beat Chelsea. And let's hope that, under a new manager this season, they can go on and have a good season and maybe challenge for the title again. It's difficult because there's a lot of money in the WSL now. Man City and Chelsea are spending lots of money as you'd expect. And, we're maybe playing catch up a little bit. But, we've always had the good foundations for the women, and it's been good to see them have the success that they have, and hopefully, a new beginning with a new manager, some new players, and hopefully we can push on and have a decent season. I'll certainly be watching a lot of the games covering them on the channel as well, and hope that they can really push on it. They might maybe give us a bit more to be excited about this season, maybe out of the two teams, possibly. Certainly, if Sunday's anything to go by, but we'll see. I mean, that was their first friendly of the season, so it's a good start beating Chelsea, and let's hope. I say we can go on and have a good season. Right, what we want to do now is we want to kind of go back in time a little bit, back to the days when football was a little bit more maybe enjoyable as an experience for everybody. So in the archive section this week then, I wanted to go back to 1987, 1988. Now, the reason why I wanted to pick that season is because I feel that season was a bit like this season in a sense of transition. You know, George Graham had come in the year before. We'd had a half-decent season. He'd won the League Cup, and he was sort of trying to rebuild the team to go on and the success that we had. But this particular season was that rebuilding process. So we had some good moments. We had some good. I think we won 14 games in a row at one point in the season, which was a club record. So we certainly had some good moments in the season, but we fell away in the second half of the season. Of course, I think most people remember it for that League Cup final. Do you remember much about that season, Adam, or was you a bit too young then? Because you probably wasn't that old, was you then?
No, so there's two things I remember about that season. That season was actually the first time I went to Highbury.
Fantastic.
Obviously, very, very fond memories. It was Easter Monday, 88 against Norwich.
Yeah, I remember that game. 2-0, wasn't it?
2-0. I think it was Niall Quinn, Alan Smith, maybe. I know Perry Groves was playing, and I was impressed with how fast he was. And yeah, that was my first ever Highbury visit with my dad. And
wow, fantastic.
in the West Stand upper, and being a young lad, I was 8. You know, looking at it, was like, whoa, what's going on here? So yeah, I remember that game quite vividly. And again, the thing I remember is the cup final against Luton. I remember sitting there watching. I didn't go to it, but I remember watching it at home and being in tears when we lost and the way we went about it. So so was young. That was kind of when I first started properly watching football. And then the year after that was when it really kicked in for me, you know. And thankfully, I was around for 89, which I remember very, very well. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, looking at that League Cup final that you said there, I mean, I don't think any of us that day after that game would have imagined that just over a year later we'd be winning the league. Just didn't seem possible. I mean, it was an amazing turnaround, really, wasn't it, from that point there? And, you know, we finished 6th that season in the league as well. So it wasn't like we'd been challenging for the league particularly. We'd started well, but dropped away. And it was like, it looked like we were miles away, actually, from challenging Liverpool for the league title or anything like that. So, you know, I mean, I remember that day at Wembley coming out of there thinking, what is happening here? That was a terrible defeat. And, you know, you were talking before, Melvin, about players that you didn't think had a mistake in them. But Gus Caesar that day, he had a few mistakes in him, didn't he, unfortunately, poor lad.
I'll tell you what, he seemed, was it the last goal he gave away when it was 2 in the box?
No, it was the equaliser. It was the equaliser for 2-2.
He could make it 2-2. Yeah, he dwindled on the ball. And then I think we played Watford a couple of weeks later, made another ricket for a goal. Yeah. And it was in fact, I met Gus years ago. I did meet him, had lunch with him, with a friend of mine. What a lovely bloke. But so I didn't want to bring up the final, obviously. But no. I mean, he was never, in fact, I saw his first game. It was against Man United, I think.
Man United, it was, yeah.
He played right back.
Yeah.
And I don't think he got within 50 yards of the left winger. Might have been Olsen or someone, I can't remember. And we won 1-0. Don't know how. We won 1-0. That was an unbelievable night. But going back to the final, nothing went right. We had tickets, and for some reason, we sat with a net in front of us. They put a net round Wembley, the first few rows. So we're like looking through, like, what are you doing, mate? Well, you can't be. Then we missed a penalty, didn't we? We were all over and missed a penalty. I think Winterburn was playing right back, though he was left footed. I think we had Kenny Sampson on the left hand side. Right, and it was like what's. And then we had to park. I think we parked nearer my house than Wembley. It was one of those things. They suddenly started putting up all these restrictions for the first time. Wembley, you can't park here if you've got a car, type of thing. You know, all these silly restrictions. And like we trudged back after the game. It was like your shoulders were by your knees. Like, what could go wrong now? And it was, oh my God. As you say, did we think the next year we're going to win the league? Of course not. We weren't thinking about that. thinking about having a good cup run. That was what we were hoping for the next season. But you said it was what George Graham was doing. He was shrewd. He was absolute. You think of the players he brought in that season. He brought in nothing Bold and Dixon late and Marwood. Three. Yeah. I mean, Marwood was key in us winning that title. He produced so much. Do
you know who else he brought in that season, Melvin?
Smith.
Well, yes, Smith, but Kevin Richardson as well.
Oh yes, yeah, that was a great signing. That one below the radar, didn't it? That was a great signing.
Yeah,
he was. Oh, what a player! I mean, I'd have him in my team now, mate. Kevin Richardson to do the job that we need doing. He's terrific. And when we signed him, was it from Watford or did he go to Watford and Everton? He came from Everton, didn't he? Came from Everton, I think.
Yeah. No, I think we bought him from Watford. I think he went from Everton to Watford, and then we bought him from Watford.
Oh, right. But I'd seen him play for Everton, and
Yeah.
And when we signed him, I didn't realise how small he was and spindly. You know, I thought, I'd seen this player play. I think, hold on a minute, it can't be him. We bought the wrong player, but he was so good. He was so good. No, he was quality. But he'd made up his mind, George. He wanted certain players out that weren't good enough, or B, didn't want to give it all. Didn't have the heart he believed in giving everything for the club, and he wanted to bring in young, hungry players, and he did it very, very well. And also, we didn't really suffer. I mean, when you make a big change around, you do suffer. Perhaps that was the suffering coming sixth in the league. I don't know. But it wasn't not a big sacrifice to where that turnaround took us for the next few seasons.
No. I mean, that to me, I remember at the time, I've been quite excited with George Graham's first season because we won the League Cup and it was brilliant. The first trophy I'd seen us win. And I was hoping that we were going to push on. I said we won 14 games in a row at one point at the start of that season. And you're thinking, maybe this is going to be the start. And then the second half of that season was really disappointing. We were disjointed. We couldn't score goals. And I don't know, it just looked like we were just drifting along. And then, of course, we did get to the final and lost. And then you're thinking, this is just going like things have always gone that I could remember over the last 5 or 6 years I've been going to Arsenal. So, yeah, I mean, but that was obviously, looking back on it now, that was obviously the start of, that transition from the maybe the Terry, Neil, Don Howe era into that new period of success that George would bring us. And, it maybe takes a season sometimes, doesn't it, to get the wheels in motion. And like you said, some of the players we brought in, Nigel Winterburn came in that season as well, as you said, playing right back for a while because Kenny Sansom was still there. And yeah, it was Michael Thomas was playing right back actually at the start of the season, if you remember. So, it was a season of change. But there's a couple of things I remember from that season and above anything else was, one, there was some really, really big crowds for some games. I remember the first game of the season against Liverpool, there was over 50,000 people sitting on the roof of the North Bank. And there was the Man United game in the FA Cup when Brian McClare skied that penalty. Over 50,000 in Highbury that day. Nottingham Forest game in the next round where we got knocked out, over 50,000. The semi-final against Everton, over 50,000. There were some massive crowds in certain games. And then probably that game you went to, and that Norwich game, there's probably 25,000 there. Probably.
Yeah, it wasn't full by any means. Yeah, I remember it being very full, but I didn't know no different at the time. It was like,
No. But that was that season. There was a mixture between crowds of maybe 18 to 22,000 or 40 to 50,000. It was one of them sort of seasons where the crowds came out for the big games and maybe wasn't that interested in a lot of the other games. Some of the crowds were, but yeah, there were some big crowds that season, which I remember, and you could kind of maybe sense somewhere that something was happening. That maybe the club were going back in the right direction again. And it was exciting time, but frustrating in the end because I didn't feel we'd built on the previous season, but there was some good games and good memories. And that Everton game in the semi-final was good. Was you at that game, Melvin? That one at Highbury when we won 3-1, the second leg? That was good, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I went to that. That was when Perry Groves had a good game. Perry Groves, did he score? Groves?
He scored in the first game away at Everton, didn't he?
That's it. Yeah. But I thought he was quite. If I remember rightly, I thought he looked very dangerous in the second one. as well. When
Yeah,
he beat them.
no, he played well. Yeah, I mean, he was a decent player. Perry Groves actually quite underrated in many ways. I thought he did well for Arsenal, considering where he'd come from. You know, he won league titles, didn't he? He won cups. I know he didn't play in the big games very often. I mean, he came on at Anfield, didn't he, and stuff like that. So, you know, he certainly contributed a lot. Perry Groves, and yeah, he had a good season actually that season, and then the following season he kind of lost out to Paul Merson, didn't he? He got dropped down the pecking order a little bit. And he didn't maybe get as many games, but he had a decent season actually. Perry Groves and Alan Smith up front were not a bad partnership that season. They both scored some good goals actually. They kind of worked well together. But I guess Merson was an upgrade, wasn't he? You know, when he came through. So I suppose you can understand what happened with that. Just on another kind of note, actually, just again another little bit of an archive thing, just briefly. So it was actually on this day 22 years ago, Thierry joined Arsenal. Wow. I mean, I don't think any of us, again, when he signed, we thought, it's a good signing. He was top scorer for France in the World Cup, but I don't think any of us were expecting what we got, were we? I mean, what a player. I mean, Adam, you must have some great memories of Thierry Henry.
I remember, but I also do remember his first game, Leicester at home, first day of the season. Someone was a sub. He was awful. Like he had 3 or 4 chances, and they just kept him wide, side netting wide. You're thinking, hold on a minute, what's going on? But I think once he got that goal away at Southampton, wasn't it, his first goal, he never looked back. And I love the guy. Like, you know, I loved his passion. You know, I always liked the way that he would just go slow, and then just speed down, and no one could get near him, like jet-propelled heels. And I mean, and he was Arsenal, wasn't he, through and through. I mean. And that's the biggest thing. Like when you got a player like that who you can tell has got real feelings for the club, and you can tell now when you see him in interviews and that, how much fondness he has for the club. I love to see that, and that's what I wish more players were like nowadays. You know. So, and also one of my favourite things was when he come back and scored the winner against Leeds in the cup. That was brilliant, and
that was emotional.
The Emirates that night was so emotional, just like rocking. It was brilliant. I loved it. But I mean, you're right. Like, after we signed him, no one could foresee what he was going to do at all.
No.
And I was you know, I understood why he left in the end to go to Barca, but I kind of never really got over it, I don't think, of when he did. But you can't begrudge him. You couldn't begrudge him after what he'd done for us.
No, exactly. I mean, for probably 4 or 5 years, he was the best player in the Premier League, wasn't he? And he was probably the best player in Europe actually as well in that period.
Ballon d'Or, I don't know, like
he was. If he'd played for any other club apart from Arsenal, he'd have won that about 3 times in that period, playing the way that he was. He was literally unplayable, wasn't he? There were games when you'd sit back and you'd think, wow, it'd just take your breath away. And it's just incredible to have witnessed him play for Arsenal for all those years that he did. It was just an absolute pleasure to watch a player like that. And, you know, and we kind of saw him develop, as you said, Adam, at the beginning. He didn't look that great, did he? He was fast, but you're thinking...
He had no control.
I remember thinking that the first half of his first season, thinking, actually, you know what? Anelka was better than him. And then, of course, the penny finally dropped and he learned how to play up front. And once, like you said, once he started scoring, he never stopped, did he? That was it. And it was fantastic. I mean, what an unbelievable player, but maybe not the sort of exciting signing that we maybe would have, if we'd signed him now, you'd be like, wow. But back then, it didn't really feel like that, did it, Melvin, when we signed him? It was a good signing, but it wasn't like a take your breath away signing, was it?
You didn't listen. We thought we might be getting, with a bit of luck, might be getting a bit of a goal scorer. With a bit of luck, we weren't even sure about that. But I didn't realise we were getting such an entertainer, all-round entertainer.
No.
He wasn't just a goal scorer. He was everything that you want to. You'd pay money just to see 10 minutes of him on a pitch, wouldn't you? You'd pay your money. 10 minutes of him, and you'd say, you know what, that was worth it. I'm going home now. He was so head and shoulders above anybody else, and it's a disgrace he never got those Ballon d'Ors. Absolute disgrace. I went to that Southampton game when he curled it in. I mean, it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And yes, we saw him grow and grow. He got to a level, we think, oh God, bloody hell. Then he got to another level, and then another level. He was doing silly tricks. He was looking one way. He was like, oh, hold on. He's seeing this game differently to any other player. He seems to be in a different time zone. He's got so much time. He sees before anything else happens. That he seems to be thinking, well, how can he do that? No.
Yeah, no, he was incredible. There's no doubt, and I still think Dennis Bergkamp will probably always be probably the greatest ever player I've seen play for Arsenal. But Thierry Henry for those 4 or 5 years was just unbelievable to watch. Like you said, an entertainer, wasn't he? He wasn't just a footballer. He was
that's right.
He was more than just a footballer, wasn't he? He was just unbelievable. And he was an athlete. He was everything, wasn't he? And he gave us, we wouldn't have won the trophies that we won if it wasn't for him. He was the special one, really, wasn't he? For want of a better phrase, in that team of it was a great team of fantastic players, but he was the one that rose above that level, didn't he? And Russ, just to bring us back down to earth, then in the chat says, and the same day, 22 years later, Xhaka signs a new contract. That's what life's like at Arsenal, Russ, at the minute, isn't it? This is where we are. And he also says he saw Mel teleport out of his chair. Yeah, he did actually. That was pretty clever. That. He did sort of teleport out of his chair. And Ryan says, Melvin's got to pay. He's got to pay the electric and Wi-Fi bills. He's not at home, Ryan, so he's elsewhere. So it's not his responsibility there. But yeah, something's going on with the Wi-Fi, definitely. But anyway, but no, I mean Thierry Henry. Yeah, what can you say? Really, just an unbelievable player, and we were just privileged to have witnessed him play for us all those years. And you can imagine what fans of other clubs must have thought. They must have been so jealous of us watching him every week. He was never injured, was he? He played nearly every game. Every week he was there playing, wasn't he? And it was just an incredible time to be an Arsenal fan. And just brilliant. And just seems strange it was that long ago.
But Richard, do you remember? Yeah. Friday. But do you remember I went to, I think it was Villa Park. We played Manchester United in the semi-final. And Wenger dropped him. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, he played Ali Adair, didn't he?
Really strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. When we were going for, that was the Invincible season, wasn't it? We were going for the treble.
Yeah, that was the Ryan Giggs goal, wasn't it? No,
that was it was.
Oh, no, was it? That wasn't the Ryan Giggs one.
No, it was. I think Paul Scholes scored. We lost 1-0. And he played Ali Adair instead of Thierry Henry because we had a lot of big games coming up because we were in the Champions League, we were chasing a title, and we still had the FA Cup. And he rotated the squad and he left Thierry Henry out, and we lost 1-0. I think he brought him on in the second half. It was too late, and we lost. But yeah, that was cost us that. But I suppose even someone as great as Thierry Henry can't play every single game. I suppose he maybe needed a rest every now and again. But yeah, that was a shame. But yeah, fantastic player. And it just seems, 22 years ago sounds like a long time, and it is, I suppose. But it doesn't feel like it, does it, Adam? Those great moments and great memories and that great teams that we had and all the things that we won, it doesn't seem that long ago, does it really?
No, it doesn't at all. And was I right in thinking we signed Davor Suker around the same time?
It was the same summer, yeah.
Because I remember thinking that Davor Suker would be the one I was probably more excited about. And then it's crazy.
Yeah.
You are right. I mean, I still kind of show my boy Thierry Henry videos on YouTube, just to show him, to appreciate him. And I also think he was one of the players that no matter who you support, you can admire that. Like I've got Spurs fans as mates who still like Thierry Henry as a player. They hated the fact that he played for us, but they can still respect the fact that he was a great player, and he was unreal. And what I'd do to get a player like that back up at Arsenal now, I don't know. I couldn't even.
But I think though as well, he was part of a great team. Let's not forget, it wasn't just Thierry. I think now, if we had a player like Thierry Henry now, it would literally be him on his own, and he'd be having to do it all on his own, wouldn't he? He hasn't got the team around him. Whereas Thierry Henry was able to thrive because he had so many great players around him, didn't he? Which was credit to Arsene Wenger for building that team, I suppose. And, obviously he was a special player. I'm sure he would have been great anyway, but he was part of that great side, wasn't he? And, it was fantastic to watch him. I mean, you're talking about other fans. I mean, I can remember him getting standing ovations away at other grounds quite often. Yeah. It wasn't just once or twice. It was a regular occurrence, wasn't it? Away fans would give him a standing ovation off the pitch after the game because he had ran and ragged. He did it to Leeds a few times, Portsmouth in the FA Cup that time, and they gave him a standing ovation at the end. And, Sunderland, places like that, he'd go and...
I appreciate it.
Yeah, they did, because they knew that they were in the they were witnessing something, someone special, a special player that comes along once in a generation, really. A player like that to play in the Premier League, and we were fortunate and blessed, really, that he played for us. And I'll never forget those times, actually. And it doesn't seem that long ago. That's the frustrating thing. It's 17 years since we won the league. The last time, it doesn't seem that long ago. It seems like about 5 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's weird, very weird.
And it's almost.
We were lucky as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky as well, or Arsenal were lucky, and we were, that we had players around him as well that could help him. I mean, Pires was perfect for him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have certain midfield players behind him like today, for example. He had Pires, he had Bergkamp, Vieira. I mean, those players, we're so lucky, not just for Henry, but for the other 3 or 4 players, we can say. We were privileged to watch them.
Yeah, and it is a shame now to look at what we've got now on the pitch, and maybe that's why sometimes we can be maybe overcritical of the current team and the current players, because we've seen these great players play for the club, and in what doesn't seem that long ago. I know it actually is a long time ago now, but it doesn't seem that long ago. So maybe that's why we're perhaps overcritical sometimes of some of the players that we've got, because every single one of them is a massive downgrade on what we had, and not that long ago, realistically, in our lifetimes that we've seen. So maybe that's part of it. It's just one of them things, isn't it? I guess we've had some great times, some great players, and unfortunately at the minute we're at the bottom of the loop, maybe, and hopefully we are at the bottom. We can start climbing again, but I guess we will have to wait and see. Just before we kind of finish, I wanted to obviously look ahead to the weekend. A North London derby, which of course is never a friendly, although technically it is a friendly. It's not going to be a friendly, I'm sure, and we're certainly not going to take it like a friendly. I mean, how important? Obviously, Tottenham got their own problems at the minute, haven't they, with their star striker on strike and nowhere to be seen, which is quite funny, isn't it? But anyway, I mean, how much are we going to be reading into this game on Sunday? Obviously, we want to win, and we want to win about 8-0, really, realistically. But how much are we going to read into this, Adam? What do you think? What are you thinking about Sunday? I mean, we've obviously got a couple of injuries now as well, but you think that we want to put a statement out, don't we? Really?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I'm always been a firm believer that pre-season's pre-season. Don't read too much into it, but we don't generally play Spurs in pre-season, do we? So that alone is enough for me to be more interested. I mean, I agree. We need to make a statement, because it could be exactly what we need as a club to give us that lift off to go into the season with. Because it still annoys me how much fans get wound up by friendly results and friendly performances. Because fair enough, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I do think the Spurs game is different, because it is Spurs. Because they're going to want to win as much as we do, the teams, the fans, exactly. So, of course, it means something. But I also think it's an opportunity. We can get a good result and a good performance. It can really set us up, for the first game the week after. So, yeah, it's important. It's probably about the most important pre-season game I can think there ever been. So.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it is because of it's against and stuff like that. But, I tend to think actually that, although the results in pre-season don't determine, you don't get any league points from it, doesn't make any difference. I actually feel the performances in pre-season are a good indicator of how the team are developing and how ready they are to start the season. So I do think all the pre-season games are important to a certain degree. But yes, obviously this one on Sunday is more important than all the others. I mean, I remember us playing Tottenham actually in pre-season 1988 in the McKean tournament at Wembley, and we won 4-0, and that set us up, went on to win the league that season. So maybe that's where maybe the belief came from that game when we thrashed them. We beat Bayern Munich 3-0 as well in that tournament, by the way. I'm sure that would be a result we'd like to see again, maybe beating Bayern Munich 3-0, but yeah, that was a good pre-season. I mean, what are you thinking about? Oh, he's gone again, Melvin. Look, just as we want to come to Melvin, he disappears again. But I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. But no, I mean, I agree. It is quite a big game for pre-season, actually, and it is maybe a good way to prepare us for the Brentford game. With a game like that, a North London derby.
It's going to be. I'd like to see the new players involved quite heavily, because it would be a good indicator to see how they deal with it. because
I would.
Spurs are going to have a lot of fans in there, so it's going to be a intimidating atmosphere like it always is. So seeing those young lads and how they deal with it could be a good indicator of their temperament as well. So that's going to be quite important.
Yeah, I'd like to definitely see. I would expect Ben White to start actually, and with Thomas Partey injured, it would be like you said, a great opportunity for Lokonga maybe to step in that sort of atmosphere in a game like that, and see what he's made of when it comes down to stuff like that. I mean, what are you thinking about Sunday then, Melbourne? Obviously, we're going to win the game quite handsomely, but other than that, what are you thinking?
Thinking, let's hope he doesn't pick the same first 11 party that shirt can't get up for that game. Then sorry, they should be up for it. They don't need that. The crowd will be there, but they don't need the crowd. It's bragging rights, I suppose. A little bit of bragging rights. I mean, let's face it. Halfway through the season, however the two teams are doing, will it make if we're mid-table and Spurs are third and we beat them? Does the bragging rights mean anything in this friendly? No, it doesn't. To a degree, it's bragging rights for a couple of weeks, and then the real stuff starts. I think I'd like to think that the manager will look at a few players in different positions or different lineups and try and learn something extra that he's already learned the last few weeks. He's had the players now for a full pre-season, so there shouldn't be any excuses there. The Lokonga, he'll play hopefully, and he can see what he can do under pressure, because it is about Spurs. It's a friendly, but it's against Spurs. I'd love him to get the right back position sorted out. It doesn't seem like he's going to do that. He brought Bellerin on for a run out the other day, and look at that worked out. I don't think Chambers is a right back, and we're lacking at right back. Cedric, to me, is the only proper right back. He's okay. He's not the greatest, but he's okay. It's a bit like a few other positions we've got. They're okay, and that's a shame. We've got 3 potential right backs in our team. 4 if you Ainsley Maitland-Niles. None of them I would call a quality right back. And full-backs are very, very important for clubs. Look at Tierney, how important he is to us. Defensively and going forward and bringing the whole team forward and putting pressure on the other team. And we haven't got that. We're lacking. We're a one-sided player without a full-back, in my opinion. It's easy. We're easier to defend against, because you think about it. If we haven't got a full-back bombing up the right-hand side, it's only one side we're doing it from, the left. And let's face it, we don't do much through the middle. So for teams that want to defend against us, it makes it so much more easier for them. So we've got to get that right back sorted out.
I mean, if we could find a right back as good as obviously Tierney at left back is, then I mean we'd be in a much better position, wouldn't we? I mean, with Ben White at the back as well, we'd actually be pretty much sorted there, wouldn't we? But exactly. I guess decent right backs don't come along very easily or very cheaply, do they? So kind of takes us back to the 87-88 season actually, when we'd lost Viv Anderson that summer, and Michael Thomas started off playing right back at the start of the season. Oh, that's right, yeah. And then obviously Nigel Winterburn ended up coming in there, didn't he? Before we bought Lee Dixon, of course, eventually to solve that problem. So it is an issue that needs to be solved, and let's hope that it can get, whether it'll be solved this window or not. I'm not 100% convinced.
It's got to be solved, Richard. It's such a big one. It's such a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one. It is a very big one.
No excuses. I'm sorry, no excuses.
No, I agree. There shouldn't be excuses. We should have solved it already, and we haven't. It looks like there's talk of even Bellerin getting a new contract, which, he's even said he wants to leave the club, it is, by all accounts, it seems. So I don't know what's going on. I've got to be totally honest. It is a bit crazy. Russ says there he doesn't read too much into pre-season results. Not the results, but the performances, I think, are quite important, to get an idea of where we might be going. Russ says, I wonder if Harry Kane would have turned up by then. I imagine he'll want to play on Sunday now, won't he, against us? So regardless of whether he's staying or leaving, you can guarantee he'll turn up for training on Friday and play against us on Sunday, probably, because that tends to be what he'll do, and probably score. But anyway, and Dave from the Out and Out Gunners podcast, please check out his channel as well. He does some good stuff. He says, good evening, gents. Good to see you back, Richard and lads. Yeah, good to be back. Hopefully you can come on the channel soon again, Dave. Be good to see you again. And he says, would you take Seamus Coleman from Everton, isn't he, for a year as a right? But actually, he'd probably do a decent job, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's been one of the best right backs consistently over the last 7 or 8 years. I think he's been terrific. He got a bad injury, just came back, bang, straight away. He's into it. He's fantastic. He's aggressive. I'd take him all day long.
Yeah,
take him all day long.
Yeah, I would actually. What about you, Adam? Do you think he'd do a job for us?
I think that's a very good shout and something that I wouldn't have even considered. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any real obvious candidates that we're being linked with, and I think that's a great shout because he's not now a regular at Everton, is he? So I mean, I don't know what Benitez is going to do with him, but I'd take him for a year. He's proven Premier League. He's consistent. If he can stay injury free, then he's definitely better than what we've got.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. It's not someone that I would have necessarily thought of particularly. Maybe partly because he, like you said, he's not been a regular at Everton, has he, these days? I mean, I know he's not young anymore and he's getting on a bit. He's got a lot of experience. So, and for a year, he could certainly do a job and he would be better than all the right backs we've got at a club put together, wouldn't he? So, I don't know whether or not that's something we can look at, but yeah, it is a problem position. You're right, Melvin, and it is something that needs to be sorted out and should have been sorted out already. And, you know, I've got a feeling if Bellerin is given a new contract, which is what we're hearing, then we're not going to buy another right back either, are we? It'll be Chambers, Cedric, and Bellerin next season. And you know, Bellerin's heart's gone. I think since his injury, I think his heart's gone. He's not the same, is he, as he was? And you could see I know it was only a friendly and mistakes happen, but that's the sort of thing that Bellerin now. That's his body language, isn't it? Mistakes like that. It's just. He's past his best, or he needs a new challenge, or whatever it is. I don't know, and it's a shame because
he needs a change. He needs a change.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it'd be crazy if we offer him a new contract when we've probably got an opportunity to sell him and maybe use him as part of a deal to get other players in. He'd be one of the players that he's probably got potential for other clubs. I would have thought because he's I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's just lost his way at Arsenal, and. A fresh challenge would probably be what he needs, but I think Coleman would be a decent shout actually. So yeah, Dave, that's a good shout out. I think we all agree we would take Coleman for a year, and or whatever, however long we can get him for, and maybe that would be a good move. So ship Bellerin on to wherever he wants to go. Maybe use him as part of the deal to get that Martinez from Milan, who that seems to be what might be happening, and then. Maybe that's the way forward. I don't know. We'll see. But I just feel we've got a lot to do between now and the end of the transfer window. If this season is going to be an improvement on last season, because to me, what I've seen so far, and I know it's only pre-season, I'm not going to get too excited, but I don't see too much difference in what we're seeing, and that worries me. With the season just 10 days away, it's a worry, and. I mean, are you excited about this season, Adam, going into it at this moment in time? Or are you just kind of thinking, well, it's just another season that we've got to get out of the way?
I'm always excited for a new season to start. It's usually once it starts that I don't get excited. But no, I'm always... I'm a generally quite a positive person. So I try to be positive, especially when you're an Arsenal fan for the past few years. You've got to be. A lot will depend on what happens the next 2 weeks, I think. Because I think that we obviously need to strengthen. If we went into the season as it stands now, I would not be confident that we would do any better than last year. But I'd like to be surprised over the next couple of weeks. And again, I said it last week, a lot of it's to do with our outgoings. I think if we can get some outgoings, to make up space in squads, we could see some decent incomings. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't be positive. But ask me next week, it could change. Who knows?
I mean, we can't get rid of the players, can we? No one wants them. That's the problem. We can't even get rid of the half-decent ones. So we've got no chance of getting rid of the ones that are not even as good as that. So I don't know what we're doing because we can't get rid of them. We can't afford to buy a load of new players, and then we'll have a 35-man squad when we're only going to play 50 games or less than 50 games. It's just doesn't. It's not. That's not how it's going to work, is it? You're right. We need to get rid of players if we're going to be able to get new players in, and it seems like we can't get rid of them, so we're just going to offer them new contracts. And that's what we'll do. And it's just I don't know. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, are you excited for the season, Melvin? I know you'd be excited. I know you're excited Xhaka's re-signed, and you'd be even more excited if Bellerin re-signed. So
can't sleep.
I can see your excitement now building already.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. A couple of weeks ago, a week or so, I was very excited. Yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that, potential this, that, and the other. Yeah. And I think we've got some great youngsters, to really take us forward. And we don't need a lot to get it right. But it seems to me.
Oh, you need to get your internet right first, Melvin, I think, before we worry about the team. But I'm sure he'll be back again in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame that the season's so close, really. Now, go on, Melvin, carry on. Now you're back.
Sorry about that. I do apologise.
No,
it seems to me that with all the good youngsters we've got and the potential, that if they mix them with the poor players, it's going to hold them back. And I don't want that to happen. If we could sign one or two players, we can't have. I don't want any passengers anymore. I'm fed up with passengers. Hopefully, the managers have been here long enough to know the good ones and the bad ones. I'm not interested in how players play at training. I want to know what they do on the pitch on a Saturday or Sunday. Is more important. And I hope he's learned his lesson. Doesn't seem he has done from the team he picked on Sunday, but you don't know why he picked that. He might have done that for another reason. And also, all this about giving players new contracts that aren't good enough. They're not antiques, They don't always go up in price, these players. Antiques go up in price with time. Footballers don't. I hope he realises that, because otherwise we'll be struggling with this manager. And I'm not going to go at him. I'm criticising him, and I want him to do well. That if he's going to keep doing that with all the holdings of this world that he had a chance to get rid of, the Bellerin even last year he could have got rid of them probably a bit more money. And the other players that he could have potentially got rid of. I'm not saying he should have got, but he could have got rid of Lacazette's of this world, for example, because you're giving the other Aubameyang a big pay rise and big contract. There's no balancing going on with the money. And you can't keep everybody. You just can't. Eddie, you could have possibly got a decent price for Eddie last season. No, he kept him. It's all these things add up. And I'm thinking, why are you keeping them? What are you keeping them for? You're a hoarder, mate. That's not what a football management's all about.
Yeah, and it's not like he's playing them much either, is it? Because Eddie don't get a game. And I mean, why? Another thing that actually just came when you're talking about the young players there, why wasn't Balogun involved on Sunday?
And Aziz,
just signed a new contract. Yeah, Aziz got a great goal, didn't he, against Watford the game before?
Fabulous.
He doesn't get it's almost like, we're playing a Premier League team now. We're playing a top Premier League team now. So Balogun and Aziz, sorry, you're not getting a game. I don't know. I find that a little bit strange because they're the sort of games to play him in, isn't it? Get them experience of playing against Chelsea in a game that doesn't ultimately matter result-wise. Get them to play against them and see how they get on. Surely that's the way forward. But I guarantee they won't play against Tottenham either on Sunday. He's not going to play them, is he?
No.
I think the squad will be very similar. Just hopefully the starting lineup will have the Lukonga will be in and Ben White will be in and. Maybe that, maybe Saka, because he's back in training this week. Maybe Saka will feature as well. It'll be nice to see him back. I'm sure the Tottenham fans will give him a good reception.
And Martinelli.
Now, Martinelli's still at the Olympics, isn't he? They got through to the final.
They're still there. The Olympics. They got to the final. He
scored in a penalty shootout today, so to put them through. So they're in the final. So he's not going to be. He's not going to be involved. I doubt he'll even make Brentford, will he? Because he won't. He'll need a holiday, won't he? He'll need a rest. He probably won't play the first 2 or 3 games, Martinelli, because of the Olympics. So that's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, it'd be good to hopefully see Saka back. But is it worth playing him against Tottenham, bearing in mind the stick he'll get from the crowd? I mean, maybe
he won't. Maybe now. You think he gets stick? I think it'll go the other way.
Well, I'm hoping he wouldn't get stick. He certainly shouldn't get stick. But you know what Tottenham are like. It's not the nicest place to go, is it?
It's not, but they surprise you sometimes. I mean, what they did with Rocky, they surprised me.
Yeah, that was fair enough. I know this is a slightly different circumstances, but I mean, I'm hoping he wouldn't get any stick, but it just worries me that he might, and he doesn't deserve that, does he? As we know, he deserves to be supported and appreciated for what he did in the summer. And let's hope that if he does play Sunday, that's what he gets. Shane in the chat there says, was there ever a time we went into a season all thinking the manager won't last the season? Maybe Bruce Rioch, I don't know. Did we think he'd last the season? We probably did, because Arsenal don't tend to get rid of managers that quick, do they? No, you're probably right. I don't know. Terry Neal back in the day, there was a couple of seasons where you worried whether he'd make the season, and obviously in the end he didn't make one of them, did he? But Yeah, I don't know. It's not the most exciting time to be an Arsenal fan, unfortunately. You know, and obviously we spoke about Thierry Henry a little while ago, and it kind of makes you wish things were different, and maybe they will be again. But certainly at the moment, I agree, it's not a season that I'm particularly excited about. I want it to start. I'll be looking forward to the Brentford game. The first game of the season is always a big moment. Any season, isn't it? Wherever you are, that's going to be a great moment. But I think I agree with Adam. Once we've played 2 or 3 games, I'm sure we won't be so excited then, maybe. But we never know. If we win all the first 3 games with the teams that we're playing, I think we'll be pretty good. Another comment there from Bargav says, "Do you think there are things we can do to get more out of Xhaka? Maybe have better players around him, but we haven't got those better players around him, have we? I suppose." He says they're not exactly the easiest position to play. No, it isn't, and it's even harder when he's had the players around him that he's had. But yeah, I mean, what we need the Xhaka that played in the Euros. We need that Xhaka playing for us every week if he's going to still be in the team. How do we get that? I don't know. A fit and firing Thomas Partey maybe alongside him may help. Maybe a slight change to the system, possibly. Maybe a 3 in midfield instead of just a 2. Maybe give Xhaka a little bit more support, stops him getting maybe overrun a little bit, which has happened a few times. I don't know, but Arteta wants to play this system, doesn't he? So that seems to be the problem. I mean, what do you guys think? Adam, what do you think? How do you think we can get more out of Xhaka, seeing as we are keeping him?
It's a really good question, I think, and I've been thinking about it. I mean, I think the only real way is for him to, if he's going to be first choice, which at the current moment in time you would think he would be, given the contract and his stature, you need to give him a good partner and play consistently together. So Partey's obviously the one that we would be looking at, and try and keep them both fit, try and give them a good run. I mean, this should be a season where we can forge partnerships because we won't have as much rotation. So if there's ever going to be a season where you can actually give players time to gel together, this should be it. The obvious answer is to play better players around him, but again, it comes down to, you know, you given who you've got kind of thing. Exactly. So yeah, I would just kind of try and give him and Partey time to gel. And to sort of learn, because even though they played together last season, never really for a good length of time, you know, and I'm talking like 10, 12, 15 games to build that kind of partnership. And I don't ever remember them getting much more than maybe 3 or 4 before one of them got suspended or injured. So, yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'll have to look at that, because obviously Xhaka played a lot of games, didn't he? He was there virtually every week. And from what I understand, Thomas Partey, he played some of the most minutes in the Premier League last season for us, you know, over the season. So I think they must have played together quite a lot.
Yeah,
it doesn't stand out that they did particularly, does it? I agree. I can't think of too many games, but it may well have been half the season or more. In reality, I don't know. That's worth looking at, actually. I mean, I'm kind of starting to think that maybe a midfield of Xhaka, Lokonga, and Thomas Partey might not be a bad way forward. And then, yes, it means that you may be dropping a number 10 position, and you've got your front 3 with your 2 wide players supporting a striker, maybe, or you're playing with a false 9. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Melvin? I know you don't think we can probably get the best out of Xhaka, do you? But if we are keeping him and he will be playing, what do you think we can do to maybe try to get more from him?
I think on the cynical side of me, I'd say to Xhaka, look, players you've always done, mate, but please don't pass the ball backwards or sideways. You'll be a better footballer. Always look, unless you have to do it backwards. Don't pass the ball backwards or sideways at the first choice. Make it your last choice, because he does stop us from attacking quickly sometimes. He gets the ball, dawdles, does a pirouette, and it's all over, mate. The attack's over. Back to the keeper, back to the centre half. He's got to be more. Perhaps he needs more freedom. I don't know, because he can hit a ball. Yeah. No doubt about it. He can hit a ball, but he doesn't seem to want to use it.
Yeah, but quite often, though, Melvin,
he's the 5-yard pass.
Yeah, but quite often he's the midfield player that you know, has to maybe sit deeper, and you know, he maybe hasn't got the freedom to get forward and make his forward passes very often, because he doesn't have the structure around him, and maybe that's what needs to change. I would maybe throw an extra midfield player in.
Is, yeah.
And maybe that's what he needs.
That might be the reason. Then that might be an answer.
But
you know what?
But Arteta, sorry.
Anyway.
No, he probably isn't, which is why more legs around him. I mean, but Arteta doesn't seem to want to change his system. He's got his set way of playing, and he's not going to change it. And Xhaka's going to either carry on as he is, or we're going to have to sign some better players to fill in around him. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's a good question. That actually, a really good question. And it's hopefully Arteta can find the answer. And if he does, we're going to be a lot better, aren't we? Neil's in the chat as well. He says, evening, lads. Neil, he also says, I think Partey will come off Prem age this season, but starts with an injury, the Arsenal curse. Yeah, exactly. He was looking good against Chelsea, as we said earlier. And unfortunately, as you said, the Arsenal curse kicked in. Neil, again, he says, I think Partey will be one of these overseas players that takes time to get used to the pace and physicality. Yeah, possibly. He seems to have struggled last season, didn't he, with the pace of the game? But let's hope that when he gets fit again, we can see the best of him, actually, which would be good. And Neil again says, Pepe is only just starting to look like the player we all wanted to see. No, you're right. Yeah, of course, he had a brilliant finish to last season, Pepe. And yeah, maybe it is a matter of just taking time to settle in. A lot of overseas players do. And, maybe that's what Pepe's done, and maybe we'll see the best of Thomas Partey this season. Maybe if we do, maybe that will help Xhaka as well, bring the best out of Xhaka. Who knows? If we get more out of Xhaka, more out of Partey, we're certainly going to be on the right track, aren't we, to get in better results, I suppose. Shane says, can Xhaka be good for young players coming through? Aziz, Patino will be exciting players in the future. Yeah, that's a good point. I do think he's a good influence around the club. He's a respected player and he is a leader, and maybe the young players will benefit from having Xhaka around, and maybe that's what the club are thinking. Maybe that's what Arteta's thinking. He's thinking if Xhaka's around, it's going to help with that side of it. We have just got a new under-23s coach as well, haven't we?
That's right.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. But
it's Kevin Betsy.
That's it, yeah, Betsy, yeah. And he's got quite a lot of experience, hasn't he, coaching at England and stuff like that, the young players there. So a lot of changes going on behind the scenes at Arsenal actually at the moment in terms of coaching and scouting and all these other things. Let's hope that it starts to pay off in the first team on the pitch quite quickly. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will very soon. Well, Melvin's just disappeared again, but we know he'll be back very shortly. He's a long way away from home, so we have to make allowances for Melvin at the moment because he's not at home. So it's just good that he's able to join.
Richard, this will be the last time this happens, because not tonight, it probably happen again, but we're moving on the weekend, and we'll have a proper direct internet rather than I've got this hotspot, which ain't all that hot at the moment anyway. But you're talking about systems. Remind me a very funny thing. But he's got this system, Arteta. He's going to keep with the system. The geezer I used to work with used to sit in the corner and used to shout out, "System's working, send more money."
Maybe that's what Arteta's doing. Exactly. Yeah.
No problem at all. Just send more money. System's working.
Oh, in our case, the system's not working. Still send more money so we can improve it, maybe. But yeah, that's pretty much sums it up at the moment, I think. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We definitely need to spend some more money, I think. Anyway, at some point in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, it could be although it's going to be a short season in terms of number of games, it could be a long season for us to have to watch, unfortunately, is my feeling at the moment. But let's hope things change. And, Adam wants to be positive and optimistic, and let's hope he's right. And we can be positive and optimistic. At the moment, I'm not quite feeling that yet after what I've seen in pre-season and the transfer market and stuff. But there are still time, say 10 days until Brentford. And let's hope that, we can get a few deals done. Are you going to be going to Brentford, Adam? Because the tickets are going on sale, aren't they?
No, I can't. We've already got something booked that night. So I'm hoping, obviously, I'll still get to watch it. But yeah, I won't be anywhere near London that night, unfortunately. We're away for the weekend. So I'm quite gutted. I would have liked to have gone to see a new stadium as well.
A new stadium, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I quite like visiting stadiums when I can as well and seeing new grounds. So hopefully I'll get there one time. Looks quite a nice little setup down there.
It looks nice, doesn't it, what I've seen of it? Yeah. I mean, did you ever go to Griffin Park before?
Once. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, went there once about 8-9 years ago. Really good. So That was when they didn't have the greatest of teams either, but they've got a really good fan base. It's not the plushest of areas, but it's got a good fan base. And Griffin Park was great with the pubs on each corner. That was always good.
Yeah. No, it was, a nice sort of old style ground, really, wasn't it? Which was good, and like you said, they haven't been in top flight football for about 70 odd years, have they? So it's nice to see them back, and let's hope they survive and do well. It's good to see another London team in the Premier League, actually, isn't it? Because there seems to be a lot of northern teams in there, which is nice to get. Because we used to have like 12, 14 London derbies a season, didn't we, at one time? And it's dwindled away. We don't seem to have as many London teams now, so it's good to get another one back in. And hopefully we'll get a few more over the next few years. Maybe Fulham can come back, and a few more of the old ones that maybe we lost over the years. Which will be good. But I'm looking forward to seeing Brentford play. Hopefully, I'll do well, but hopefully we'll beat him on the first game. I think it's important we start well, so be looking forward to that. Just before we go, then, Adam, where can people find you on your socials?
Yeah, mainly on Twitter. Adam, always Arsenal, at Adam792001. Always happy to connect with Arsenal fans and anyone, football fans, really. I like talking to fans of other clubs as well. I always get a good insight. So, if anyone wants to chat football, let's connect.
Brilliant. Yeah, make sure you definitely follow Adam. Good stuff. And Melvin, of course, where can people find you? I know, obviously, you're not in the UK at the moment, but where can they find you on social media?
Melvin, the only way is Arsenal Marks on Twitter. That's mainly the one I only use that. I'm on Facebook, but not a lot really. And on these channels, and your channel, Richard, really enjoy it when I'm not getting cut off all the time. I apologise for that, but that'd be the last time, because I'll say I'm moving on Saturday. We're going to another place, which will have real internet, one that works. So I look forward to that. Excellent. All right, thank you. Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
We look forward to
nice to again,
you on as well. And Neil says there, sorry he came on a bit late. No problem. I know you was working tonight. He says, just a quick one. In my opinion, Aziz is too good to send on loan. We should play him. Totally agree. Yeah, we don't want to send him on loan. Actually, Neil said there, good luck with the move, Melvin. I don't think it's a permanent move, is it, Melvin?
No, I'm abroad. I'm going to another place. I mean, I'm using one of these hotspot things. And, I don't know. It's not great.
Hit and miss.
But it was working all right today, but a bit of hit and miss. Yeah, a bit and miss.
But no, like we've got through. We've got through, and you always come straight back, which is good. I mean, talking of actually loans, I mean, Willock, what are we going to do with him? Because he nearly scored, didn't he, on Sunday? Are we keeping him, or are we loaning him again, do you think?
I like him. I think that whenever he plays, he's always causing danger, and he'll always get a chance. I'd like to keep him. I'd like to give him a chance. I mean, I don't think he could be a regular yet, but definitely an impact player off the bench, to give us that little spark. But I just can't see it. For me, it seems like he is going to go. I don't see there being a space for him, but maybe another loan, back to Newcastle where he done well. And maybe if he can have a full season with them and shown that he can do it week in, week out, he can get a chance with us. But I do think there's something there. I do.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, he's a goal-scoring midfielder, which is something that we don't have. So, if we could find a place for him, what about you, Melvin? Would you like to see us keep Willock this season, or maybe loan him out? I mean, if he's going to keep him, he's got to play him more, hasn't he? Quite honestly.
Exactly. I'd like to see it. I'm not a big fan of Willock, as you know, but I think after what he did at Newcastle, he proved that he can probably do it. Whether he can do it with us, I don't know. Is he given a free rein at Arsenal? Probably not as much as he did at Newcastle. But I think probably we should play him on Sunday. Got nothing to lose. Play him. Say, all right, mate, go on. We haven't got Partey. You're not a Partey, but you can play in that position moving forward all the time. Get into the other box, run past their other forwards. Take. Have a bit of freedom and give it a go and see what he does. Don't make a decision this minute. You never know. There might. Got my doubts, but there might be a player there. He might grow into that. You don't know. So there should be no reason for not playing him on Sunday. From the kick-off, from the get-go, let him start.
I think if he's not going to loan him out, he's got to play him more. because he proved at Newcastle that he can cut it in the Premier League. He can score goals in what was a fairly average team. Let's be honest. No disrespect to Newcastle. They fought relegation much of the season, although they finished well, and he was part of that actually. But yeah, he needs to play more, or we need to loan him out, because it's no good for him staying at Arsenal to be on the bench or in the stands not playing. It's just, he's at the age now where he needs to play. Neil kind of says he's starting to favour Willock. Yeah, he's done well at Newcastle, and he did well when he came on Sunday, I thought, as well. Nearly scored. Well, in fact, he did score. It just wasn't given. Shane says, let's look forward to hearing from you again this season. Brilliant stuff. Hopefully we can make Europe. Yeah, let's hope so, Shane. Thanks for watching and your support of the channel. Much appreciated. And Neil says, agreed, Melvin playing against Spurs. Yeah, why not? I agree. Let's get him more minutes in the team. And Neil says, take care. We'll always enjoy these. See you soon. Yeah, see you soon. Hopefully you come on as well soon. Maybe we'll arrange a time when you got an hour and a half or 2 hours or so to come on. Be great to have you on. Fantastic. So yeah, well, thanks everyone for watching. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. I did reach 500 actually last week, which was really good. When I first started this, I thought I'd be lucky if 20 people bothered with the channel. So to get 500 is incredible. So thanks to everyone for your support. Please give it a like as well. Wherever you're watching it, come over to YouTube and give it a like. It will be going out on Spotify as well. So if you're over on Spotify, check it out on there if you prefer the audio, which is, you miss our handsomeness if you do it that way. But anyway, I'm sure you'll get you'll miss Melvin's tan actually if you watch it listen on Spotify. So you definitely want to watch it on YouTube as well to see Melvin's tan, because it's very nice.
Do you want to see my white spots? Sorry.
That's a different show, Melvin. That's a different show, that one. And Neil says, thanks, that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great to have you on. And he says, congratulations on the 500. Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, it's been great. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to all you guys in the chat, obviously Neil and Shane as well. Obviously Dave was in earlier as well. Bargav as well. A good question about how we can improve Xhaka. Maybe selling him to Roma might have improved him possibly, but anyway. Russ as well in the chat. Ryan as well. Alan, of course, a Leeds fan. Good to hear from him as well. Obviously regarding Ben White. Saw a lot of Ben White play at Leeds, of course. Shah was in the chat as well earlier as well. So yeah, thanks to all you guys for watching. Obviously, thanks to Adam and to Melvin for coming on again. Always a pleasure. Hope you've enjoyed the show. I certainly have. It's been fun. As always, I say we'll be back again. I'll be doing some coverage at the weekend of the Tottenham game. I don't know if I'll do a watch along. I might do what I did this week, maybe do a video afterwards. I'll see what's going on with that. And also the women are playing Tottenham as well. They're playing after the second game this week. So definitely stay around and watch that, because that'll be good. Hopefully we can get another win. Tottenham's women's team aren't that great, so hopefully we'll win that one at least anyway. And it'd be interesting to see if Harry Kane's there, won't it? We'll all be waiting with bated breath to see, unless of course he's joined Man City in the meantime for 525 million or whatever it is they're going to pay for him. So we'll see. But anyway, that's for another time. So thanks to all you guys in the chat. Thanks to you guys for being on. Thanks to everyone for watching. Neil says your summary to Chelsea was brilliant. No, thanks for watching that, Neil. Thanks for the comments, mate. Really appreciate that. Very cheers. So thanks everyone for that. I say stay tuned to the channel, because there's loads of stuff coming up. Please subscribe and like and share, and we will see you on the Tuesday Club next week, and there'll be more stuff in the meantime as well, obviously building up to Tottenham, and then the big kickoff 10 days time. Well, it'll be this time, won't it? This time in 10 days we'll be in the second half and hopefully happy that we're winning, or maybe not, but we'll see. Let's hope so. Yeah. But good times are coming again. Let's think of it like that. When they'll be, we don't know, but they are coming at some stage. So let's be positive, like Adam says, and let's get behind the team, and let's hope that this season will be good. But we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners! Come on, Gunners! Let's do this.
The Arsenal! The Arsenal!
Still there, Richard?